Somewhere in the accepted story of human civilization, there is a quiet assumption that complex thought, organized religion, and monumental construction emerged only after humanity settled, after agriculture, after villages, after the slow taming of nature. It is a timeline repeated in textbooks, reinforced by decades of archaeological consensus. First came survival, then came society, and only then, meaning. But what if that sequence is wrong? What if the first great human structures were not homes, but temples? What if belief came before settlement, and not the other way around? And what if, buried beneath a remote hill in southeastern Turkey, there exists a site that forces us to reconsider not just when civilization began, but why? This is not speculation. This is not myth. This is stone. And this is where the contradiction begins. Long before the rise of Mesopotamia, before the pyramids of Egypt, before even the earliest known cities, human history was thought to be relatively simple. Small groups of hunter-gatherers moved across landscapes, following seasonal patterns, surviving on wild resources. Their lives were transient, their tools basic, their social structures minimal. Agriculture, it was believed, marked the turning point. Around 10,000 BCE, humans began to domesticate plants and animals, forming permanent settlements. From there, complexity followed. This framework shaped our understanding of prehistory for generations. It suggested that stability, food surplus, sedentary life, enabled the development of art, ritual, and architecture. Without permanence, there could be no monuments. Without farming, there could be no civilization. But here is the unsettling part. In the hills near modern-day Ayhanlı, an unassuming rise in the landscape concealed something entirely unexpected. Beneath layers of soil and time lay a structure that did not fit the narrative. It was older than Stonehenge, older than the Egyptian pyramids, older, even, than the earliest known agricultural communities. Its name is Göbekli Tepe. The site itself rests on a limestone plateau, overlooking a wide, arid plain. For centuries, it appeared as little more than a mound of scattered stones, fragments of flint, nothing to distinguish it from countless other hills in the region. In 1963, a joint survey by Turkish and American researchers noted the area but dismissed it as a Byzantine cemetery. The true nature of the site remained hidden. It was not until 1994 that a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt took a closer look. Recognizing subtle anomalies in the surface debris, Schmidt began excavations the following year. What he uncovered would challenge the foundations of archaeology. As the soil was carefully removed, massive stone pillars began to emerge. Not rough, unshaped rocks, but carefully carved monoliths, some standing over 5 meters tall and weighing up to 20 tons. They were arranged in circular enclosures, their surfaces etched with intricate reliefs of animals. Foxes, snakes, birds, wild boars. The craftsmanship was deliberate, precise, and unmistakably symbolic. And yet, according to the accepted timeline, this level of organization should not have existed. Radiocarbon dating placed the earliest layers of Göbekli Tepe at around 9600 BCE. This was nearly 6,000 years before Stonehenge. At that time, humans in the region were still hunter-gatherers. There was no evidence of agriculture, no domesticated animals, no permanent settlements nearby. And still, here stood a monumental complex. This is where the contradiction deepens. The structures at Göbekli Tepe are not random. Each enclosure is carefully planned, with T-shaped pillars positioned in circular formations. At the center of many of these circles stand two larger pillars, facing each other, as if marking a focal point. Some researchers interpret these central stones as stylized human figures, their T-shape suggesting shoulders and heads, their surfaces bearing carved arms and hands. The surrounding pillars, decorated with animals, may represent a symbolic world, a landscape of meaning rather than function. There are no signs of domestic life here. No hearths, no storage areas, no evidence of long-term habitation. This was not a village. It was something else. But what? Archaeologists have proposed that Göbekli Tepe functioned as a ritual center, a place where groups gathered for ceremonies, perhaps seasonal or spiritual in nature. The scale of construction implies coordination, planning, and a shared purpose. Dozens, perhaps hundreds, of individuals would have been required to quarry, transport, and erect the massive stones. This was not the work of isolated families. It was collective. And this raises a critical question. If hunter-gatherers built Göbekli Tepe, what motivated them? Traditional models suggest that only settled societies, supported by agriculture, could sustain such labor. Yet here, the sequence appears reversed. The construction of a monumental site seems to precede the development of farming in the region. Some researchers have even suggested that the need to support large gatherings at Göbekli Tepe may have encouraged the domestication of plants, an inversion of the established order. History does not break easily. But here, it bends. The tools found at the site are consistent with a pre-agricultural society: flint blades, stone hammers, and simple implements. There is no metal, no pottery in the earliest layers. And yet, the precision of the carvings and the scale of the architecture suggest a level of sophistication that challenges assumptions about cognitive and social development. The animal imagery carved into the pillars is particularly striking. Predators dominate: lions, snakes, scorpions, creatures that evoke danger and power. Some scholars interpret these as totemic symbols, perhaps representing clans or spiritual beliefs. Others suggest they reflect a worldview shaped by the uncertainties of a hunter-gatherer existence. But there is no consensus. And this is where the debate intensifies. The mainstream interpretation holds that Göbekli Tepe is the earliest known temple complex, a place of ritual constructed by mobile groups who gathered periodically. This view is supported by the absence of domestic structures and the symbolic nature of the carvings. It suggests that organized religion, or at least shared belief systems, existed long before settled life. Alternative interpretations remain within the bounds of evidence but explore different emphases. Some researchers argue that the site may have served multiple functions: ritual, social, even political. The act of building itself may have reinforced group identity, creating bonds between otherwise dispersed communities. Others question whether the distinction between hunter-gatherer and farmer is as clear-cut as once thought, suggesting a more gradual transition. There is also the question of why Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried. At some point, around 8000 BCE, the enclosures were filled in with debris, stone fragments, soil, and refuse, effectively sealing the structures beneath the earth. This was not the result of natural collapse. It was intentional. Layer by layer, the site was covered, preserving it for millennia. But why would a community invest so much effort into constructing a monument, only to bury it? There are theories. Some suggest that the burial marked the end of a cultural phase, a transition to new forms of life as agriculture became more established. Others propose that the act of burial itself held ritual significance, a symbolic closing, a way of honoring what had been built. But the truth remains uncertain, and perhaps that is the most important detail. Göbekli Tepe does not provide clear answers. It presents evidence: stone, carvings, dates, but the meaning behind it remains open to interpretation. It forces us to confront the possibility that our understanding of early human development is incomplete, shaped as much by assumption as by data. This is not a story of lost civilizations or hidden technologies. There is no need for exaggeration. The reality is already profound. 12,000 years ago, before cities, before writing, before the structures we associate with civilization, human beings came together to build something monumental, not for shelter, not for storage, but for reasons that appear to be symbolic, communal, perhaps even spiritual. And this is where the reflection begins. If belief systems could organize large groups before agriculture, then perhaps the roots of civilization lie not in survival, but in meaning. If shared ideas could motivate such effort, then the human drive to create, to gather, to express something beyond immediate necessity, may be far older than we imagined. Göbekli Tepe stands as a silent contradiction. It does not erase the established timeline, but it complicates it. It suggests that the path from foraging to farming to civilization was not linear, but layered, shaped by forces we are only beginning to understand. This is not myth. This is stone. And it remains, even now, only partially uncovered. Much of the site is still buried, waiting beneath the earth. What has been revealed is only a fraction of what may exist. Each new excavation adds detail, but also raises new questions. The deeper we dig, the more the narrative shifts, not collapsing, but expanding. In the end, Göbekli Tepe does not demand a single conclusion. It asks something more difficult. It asks us to reconsider the origins of ourselves, not as a simple progression from need to complexity, but as a more intricate process, one in which imagination, belief, and collective effort may have played a role from the very beginning. And perhaps, in that quiet hill overlooking the plains of ancient Anatolia, we are not just uncovering stones. We are uncovering the earliest traces of the human mind reaching beyond survival, towards something less tangible and far more enduring.